school. He writes them up every day and he only half reads them, so that's probably what I'll be at tonight. But I want you to think back to your days in school, and I can guarantee you that right away there's two people that come to mind. First one is a teacher who you can absolutely still cringe thinking about, and she probably, or he or she, I shouldn't say she, might not have taught you that good and, upset you a lot, or you didn't want to be in their class at all. And then you got a second one who you couldn't wait to sprout out a pair of wings and fly off because they were absolute angel to you. And that's what I'm working on. I'm working on being the latter of the two. So as teachers, of course, we carry huge responsibility in our classroom. We're placed in a position of not only teaching young kids about what they can be, but what they can amount to, and they'll shape the future generations of our province, and that's all through us believing in them, perhaps when others haven't. This marks my third year as a teacher. I'm still a substitute teacher. I've been in a few replacements for people who've been out sick, or in and out of classrooms when teachers need them PD days off and all that planning that comes into that, of course. And I've taught across a bunch of disciplines, but it's been a whirlwind to say the least. It's been really scary. It's really easy to get caught up in all the documentation and all the assessments and all the different daily preparations that you need to do. And sometimes when my to-do list continues to grow, I sometimes lose sight of the teaching, and I forget about the daily contact that I have with those little human beings that are running around my ankles and are saying, Miss, I need to use, or Miss, I need to go. And but when all that piles up, it's so nice, to be reminded of the job that you're in and to be surrounded by a lot of people who are working towards the same goal that you are and keep you on track. But I've learned that it takes a special kind of person to be a teacher. For me, it means that I've had to choose a career that's based on a passion of wanting to make a difference in the group of young people's lives. It's a career that I think deserves more respect than it actually gets. And it isn't simply working a school day of 8 till 3. It absolutely consumes your life and becomes your lifestyle. Sometimes I'll go down to the grocery store and the kid will be chatting with their mom or dad and they'll see me pass by and they're frightened to say hello even though they've talked to me all day because they think you're in school all the time, right? You're not allowed to be anywhere else. So that's something I've really picked up. I seen a little one at Tim Hortons yesterday and started a conversation with her, and her mom turned around and looked at me like I was some complete stranger. And the day when she got to school bus, I said, "You never spoke to me yesterday?" And she said, "Well, no, because you weren't in school." Anyway, really took me off guard, and that was just today. But of course, the job comes with daily stresses of me versus 25 little balls of energy, and of course you're responsible for them all day long. And it comes wanting to give every bit of me to each one of them, but of course there's only one of me, and it's hard to go around. But as teachers, we're selfless. The children become our number one priority, and wanting them to succeed is definitely your goal. And you become their role model, their mentor, and someone that they confide in. And it isn't just teaching what you're doing. So you're changing lives through kindness and examples of doing things that sometimes they don't even realize or say thank you for, but you do it anyways. And it comes with spending more time in the classroom than you do at home. And then if you're really involved with the community, you might even, sign up after school to run volleyball or run art projects or something like that, and all of a sudden your family at home doesn't see you anymore because you become so consumed in the lives of others. But it also comes with requiring a lot of patience. And that's a true virtue, I feel, in the role of education. And it's the most important quality that a teacher can have. Like my mother says to me, I've got the patience of Job, and every day in every way, with a classroom full of young minds, I'd like to test them to do their best. A great teacher, of course, always sets high expectations and works to raise the bar for their students. And that greatly affects their achievements as we challenge them to work harder and prepare them for their future. Some days it's not easy, and some days they probably hate you for it, but it's up to us to inspire and encourage them to do their best. I'm also the teacher who has a lot of empathy. I can always look in the back of the room and see the child who's left out, the one that kind of becomes invisible or is bullied, depending on what's going on. But I always like to be their hero and show them a lot of tender love and care and show them that, you're there to save the day when perhaps someone else isn't. But good teachers, I feel, rescue kids every day. And I have a story to tell you of how I realized that perhaps I might have been pushing some students further away than I thought. So one of the most asked questions in the classroom is definitely, "Miss, do you have a pencil?" And first when kids started to ask that, I was like, "Oh, no problem," and started pulling out pencils for them, passing them out right left and center. But then after a while, I was like, my goodness, I was like, you're actually responsible for on your own pencil. You're putting the delayed class. You should have figured that out before the bell rang this morning. And, go out and look lost and found and don't come back till you find one. And anyways, I didn't feel like I was being mean or impatient or anything. I just, it's like, I'm teaching them to be responsible, and they're not going to come to class anymore about your pencil. But it kept happening and happening over again. And I was on Facebook a while ago, and everything is shared, and this poem come up across my news feed, and it's called "'Cause I Ain't Got No Pencil," and was written by a man named Joshua T. Dickerson. And it goes like this. I woke myself up because we ain't got an alarm clock. I dug in the dirty clothes basket because ain't nobody washed my uniform. I brushed my hair and my teeth in the dark because there ain't no lights on. I even got my baby sister ready today because my mama wasn't home. I got us both to school and got us both to eat a good breakfast, and then when I got to class, the teacher fussed because I ain't got no pencil. So that poem really gave me my great revelation. And I know I'm not that far into my career, but it's certainly something for me to reflect on going forward. It's not my job to teach students how to keep pencils. It's my job to teach them how to read and write and to succeed, and for that, they need a pencil. So after reflecting and believing that I was being such a caring and kind and patient teacher, I actually wasn't looking beyond the classroom, and I wasn't thinking about why the child might not have a pencil. I was just trying to hurry them along and get them started. And what I needed to realize was that school was probably not their top priority that day. Instead of listening to their question, I should have been listening to what was really going on in their lives. And the poem took me to many realizations. I know that for many children now, a pencil is the last thing on their mind. They're worried about mothers who maybe perhaps their mental health isn't good and she hasn't been home for a few days. They're worried about perhaps how much their father's drinking and how much their household's out of control. Maybe they're worried about where their next meal is coming from because there was nothing to eat this morning. Maybe they're worried about getting bullied at school because they don't have new clothes or new gadgets. And maybe there's just some special little girl who's facing a big life battle with a lemonade stand. And some of them might not even want to be in a classroom. And that's when I recognized I should be happy that they're even there. And that I'm proud they're there. And I'm there because they're there. So for many of our students, perhaps I'll be the only smile that they see that day. And a proud thumbs up or short words of praise for my first graders remembering their numbers to 20. Or praising up to grade 4s because they remember to pass in their homework. It'll encourage them to work hard and work positively. And I want to become someone that they want to see, and my classroom needs to be somewhere where they want to be, because kind words can be short and easy to speak, but they echo endlessly. So despite my making a conscious effort every day to remember that not everyone's circumstances are the same, I still need reminding sometimes. I still need to remember that some of my students will come to class without something because they simply don't have it. It isn't always forgetfulness, and it isn't always laziness, and it isn't just a defiance of the rules. Some of the time, and maybe even a lot of the time, they just don't have it. It isn't because they don't want to listen, and it isn't because they don't care. And I've gained little bits of perspective slowly over the last few years. My students teach it to me, and some kids will have challenges that I will never have had to face. What I always thought was average was probably really beautiful to them. And what I always thought was an unspoken rule, like bringing a pencil to class, was easy for me because I had all the things I ever needed for school, and money was always set aside for school supplies, but not everyone has that. Some of my students don't have that, and I hope to change it somehow. So now, I bring a full pencil case to school every day, and I can't wait for someone to ask me for a pencil. Thank you very much.